OpenAI just released something that is quietly rewriting the rules of professional work, and almost nobody noticed it happened. December 11th, 2025. That's the day everything shifted. OpenAI released GPT 5.2, and if you weren't paying close attention, you probably missed it entirely. There was no massive press event, no dramatic keynote, no viral launch video flooding your feed. Instead, the update arrived quietly, almost modestly, and then immediately began changing what artificial intelligence can actually do in the real world. And the timing was almost surgical. While competitors were celebrating benchmark wins and publicly declaring breakthroughs, OpenAI was focused elsewhere, deep in the lab, building something that would make those celebrations feel premature in hindsight. What's happening here goes much deeper than the headlines most people never saw. This wasn't a routine update or a cosmetic improvement. It wasn't about polishing responses or adding a few new features. GPT 5.2 represents a structural shift in how the model reasons, processes information, and produces output. It behaves differently, not just faster or larger, but more capable in ways that directly affect professional work. And the proof doesn't come from flashy demos. It comes from numbers that feel almost uncomfortable when you slow down and really think about them. One of the clearest examples is a benchmark called GDP-Vol. This test isn't designed to impress on social media. It evaluates how well AI performs real, paid professional tasks across 44 different occupations. Not abstract puzzles, not academic exercises, actual work. Financial spreadsheets that must balance correctly. Business presentations that need to look polished and executive-ready. Accounting reports with precise calculations and clean formatting. Technical diagrams that engineers can genuinely use. The kind of output people spend years learning how to produce and are paid very well to deliver. On that benchmark, GPT 5.2 in thinking mode beats or ties industry experts 70.9% of the time. Not junior employees, not interns, not people just starting their careers. Experienced professionals with years, often decades, of domain expertise. And it doesn't just match them in quality, it completes the work roughly 11 times faster at less than 1% of the cost. The previous version of the model scored 38.8% on the same benchmark. That jump isn't incremental, it's not an optimization, it's a fundamental change in capability. Coding performance tells a similar story, and for developers it might be even more striking. On SWE Bench Pro, a benchmark designed to test real-world software engineering tasks across multiple programming languages, GPT 5.2 scored 55.6%. The previous version hovered around 43%. Competing models are still struggling to consistently break the mid-40s. In practical terms, this means developers are increasingly getting code that doesn't just run, but runs cleanly. Code that's readable. Code that handles edge cases. Code that often survives code review without being torn apart and rewritten. That changes how software gets built. Debugging sessions get shorter, feature implementation speeds up, prototypes turn into production systems faster. The friction that usually slows teams down starts to disappear, not because developers stop caring about quality, but because the baseline quality of the output is simply higher. Then there's the benchmark that has researchers genuinely paying attention. ARCAGI2. This test doesn't measure memory or pattern recall. It measures abstract reasoning, the ability to solve problems the system has never seen before. The kind of reasoning that separates genuine intelligence from sophisticated imitation. GPT 5.1 scored 17.6% on this benchmark. GPT 5.2 jumped to 52.9%. That's not a marginal improvement. That's a threefold increase in core reasoning ability. Even more telling, GPT 5.2 became the first model to cross 90% on the original ARC benchmark, and it did so while using dramatically less computation than earlier attempts. When researchers saw that combination, higher performance with lower cost, the language changed. Words like breakthrough and paradigm shift started appearing, because this isn't just scaling, it's progress in how efficiently intelligence itself is being produced. Context handling is another area where GPT 5.2 quietly sets a new standard. In the needle in a haystack challenge, specific pieces of information are buried deep inside an enormous document, up to 256,000 tokens long. That's roughly equivalent to a 500-page book. GPT 5.2 achieved perfect accuracy when 4 separate needles were hidden throughout that document. No previous model had done that. Even when the challenge was pushed further with 8 needles instead of 4, it maintained significantly higher accuracy than anything before it. For anyone who works with long contracts, dense legal documents, extensive research papers, or massive technical documentation, this matters more than it sounds. It means you can trust the model to understand the full context, not just fragments. It means less manual searching, less double-checking, and fewer missed details hiding deep in the text. The knowledge cutoff moved forward as well, now extending through August 2025 instead of September 2024. On paper, that sounds like a minor detail. In practice, it represents nearly a full year of additional built-in knowledge. Updated frameworks, new tools, recent industry developments, current events, all accessible without relying on external searches. It's the difference between working with someone who stayed current and someone who stopped paying attention last year. Across professional domains, the performance gains are consistent. Early enterprise testing reported by partners shows measurable improvements across industries. Box observed stronger reasoning performance in financial services and life sciences workflows. Complex data extraction tasks that once took nearly a minute now complete in a fraction of the time. Media and entertainment pipelines saw notable gains in reasoning accuracy. These aren't cosmetic changes. They're improvements that compound day after day, week after week, across entire organizations. Developers are already using GPT 5.2 to build things that would have sounded unrealistic just a short time ago. Full 3D graphics engines generated within a single conversation. Procedurally generated cities with proper lighting, shaders, and structure. Functional spreadsheets built from scratch, complete with formulas, conditional formatting, and validation logic. Data analysis pipelines that used to require hours of setup now assembled in minutes. The gap between having an idea and having something usable has shrunk dramatically. OpenAI clearly designed this release with economic impact in mind. The average enterprise user already saves 40 to 60 minutes per day using ChatGPT for work-related tasks. Heavy users report saving more than 10 hours per week. GPT 5.2 pushes those numbers even higher because it excels at the work that consumes the most professional time. Presentations that need to look polished, spreadsheets that must calculate correctly, code that needs to run in production, images that require accurate interpretation, large multi-step projects that normally demand constant oversight. Major platforms are already integrating GPT 5.2 into their core workflows. Companies like Notion, Shopify, Harvey, and Zoom tested it extensively across internal use cases and reported state-of-the-art performance. This isn't about making conversations more entertaining. It's about replacing hours of expensive human labor with output that matches or exceeds expert-level quality. When you scale that across teams and organizations, the economic implications become impossible to ignore. The pricing structure reflects exactly who this model is built for. GPT 5.2 costs $1.75 per million input tokens and $14 per million output tokens, with higher-tier options available for intensive enterprise usage. On the surface, it looks more expensive per token. But when you compare that cost to the value of the work being replaced, hours of skilled labor, billable time, delayed projects, the return on investment becomes obvious very quickly. The speed at which this model shipped also says a lot about where OpenAI is right now. Development timelines were accelerated. Engineers were pulled from other projects. A model capable of reclaiming the performance lead was delivered without hesitation. That level of execution is rare in any industry, especially one where reliability and trust matter as much as they do in AI. Sam Altman later suggested that competitive concerns had been overstated and indicated the company would exit its internal code red status early next year. But GPT 5.2 already accomplished what it needed to. It demonstrated that OpenAI can still move fast under pressure. It reassured enterprise customers. And it showed that the company's technological lead isn't shrinking, it's growing. The real strength of GPT 5.2 lies in what it prioritizes. Not novelty, not spectacle, but the work that actually matters. Financial analysis, software development, data extraction, document synthesis, technical writing. These are the areas where accuracy isn't optional, and mistakes have real consequences. OpenAI focused on those use cases and built a model designed to dominate them. And the trajectory this suggests is perhaps the most important part. If GPT 5.2 represents what OpenAI can deliver during an accelerated competitive push, what happens when that pressure disappears? Reports already hint at future models with entirely new architectures and far greater training efficiency. Smaller systems delivering the same capability as much larger ones. Faster responses. Lower costs. The pace of progress isn't slowing, it's compounding. Strategically, this release makes the long-term picture clear. While others chase viral moments and flashy demos, OpenAI is locking in the customers who will still be paying years from now. Enterprise workflows, developer ecosystems, deep integrations. These are difficult to unwind. Once a company builds its processes around GPT 5.2, switching becomes costly and disruptive. This isn't short-term hype, it's durable positioning. And that's the real takeaway. GPT 5.2 marks the moment AI crossed from promise into proven capability. Not what it might do someday, but what it's already doing quietly right now, inside real companies across nearly every major industry. The future of work didn't arrive with fanfare or spectacle. It arrived quietly, efficiently, and with results that speak louder than any marketing campaign ever could.